Good morning. Thanks for joining me today. Jason here at Time Warp, and as you can see, I'm surrounded by beautiful, fun cookie jars. And we're going to talk about cookie jars. This is just a tiny little selection of what we carry here. There's so many different types of cookie jars and styles, and it's important to know that cookie jars aren't just for the kitchen anymore. You can stick them in the bathroom and put your bathroom stuff in them, your cotton balls, stuff like that. You can stick them in any room and use them for receipts, and when it's time to do the bills, you have all your receipts in one area, or just as a junk drawer, but not a junk drawer, throw a bunch of stuff in there. They add a lot of character and whimsy to a room, so think about outside of the kitchen when it comes to it, but they're still good for in the kitchen and for cookies and maybe, spices and whatnot. But there are so many different styles and so many different kinds that knowing the kind that you want is important. Like the Abington here, which is a nice one, the train. The Fitz and Floyd over here. Fitz and Floyd makes gorgeous cookie jars. And that one right there dates back to the 80s, which is pretty cool. McCoy. McCoy is one of the premier cookie jar, pottery companies that a lot of people look for because it's the most abundant. And on the bottom, you'll see where it says McCoy. I don't know if you can see that, but it will say raised McCoy in here. And finding it with McCoy, finding the name on it is always a good thing. But there's so many different styles, and from the California pottery to the Shawnee, which a lot of people may remember this from their grandparents' house. The Shawnee cookie jars, which is the company that makes it, created the Winnie here as well as the Smiley down here. And then you can always add the salt and pepper shakers to your collection, which is nice. And as you notice, I just have the lid for Smiley down here. Before you toss out, if you break a lid or break a base, before you toss out the opposite end, check with your local vintage antique stores because we carry replacement lids. These are lids we found around, or bases, and maybe you can just, recreate the top or recreate your original piece. But you've got like the Cat, which is California pottery, and so forth. And then of course they make the Betty Boop one and the Beetle Bailey, which are really cool that you can add to any room that has maybe a TV or movie theme. And then something that's older, if you like the more rustic appearance for your kitchen, the 1940s, 30s, the cookie jars look like this. They're a little bit heavier. They made a more general impression in the kitchen. They're really nice. There's so many different types of cookie jars you can think of, and there's a lot of books and online, but with the books, don't take a look at the prices. The books are good to find the name of your cookie jar, and then go online and check several different selling sites under sold to see what they go for. One of the cool tips, just a really quick tip, is one of the biggest collectors and most famous collectors of cookie jars was Andy Warhol. Andy Warhol loved his cookie jars, and he had rooms in his house filled with cookie jars, the original boxes and everything. And when he died, it kind of flooded the market, so they kind of went down a little bit in value. But now they're starting to make a comeback, and they're just fun and whimsical and just great conversation pieces in the house. So think about cookie jars when you're giving a gift, or you just need something to store stuff in your kitchen. Thanks for joining me this morning.